Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah wa ba'am. We continue with our study of Jawami Al-Akhbar, the Shaykh al-Sa'di alayhi rahmatullah, and we have reached the 25th narration. We already started discussing last week the 25th narration, and it is the narration, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli, pray as you have seen me praying. إذا حضرت الصلاة, when the prayer enters, فَيُؤَذَّن لَكُمْ أَحَدُكُمْ, one of you should call the adhan, and the eldest amongst you should lead the salah. So we mentioned some points of benefit connected to the prayer itself, and rulings that are extracted from this narration. We pick up today in that explanation of the same narration from the Kalam of Shaykh Ubayd, commenting upon As-Sa'di's speech. As-Sa'di, he spoke about what is to be recited in the prayer. He spoke about what is to be recited in the prayer, and that if it is the Fajr prayer, a long surah should be recited in the Fajr prayer. And if it is the Maghrib prayer, then a shorter surah is to be recited in the Maghrib prayer. And the other prayers besides that, then one recites what is between that, meaning one recites an average to middle-sized surah. Shaykh Ubayd comments upon this statement though. He says, I say, يقرأ suratan qasiratan fi surat al-Maghrib. That one is to recite a short surah in the Maghrib prayer, لأن هذا غالب فعل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, because this is that which the Prophet would do the majority of the time, alayhi wasallam. The majority of the time, his Maghrib recitation will be on the shorter side. However, at times he may recite longer. At times in the Maghrib prayer he would recite longer. So if one were to do that, sometimes then he will have reached and accomplished the sunnah. Because the sunnah sometimes is to recite shorter on the majority of the time, and sometimes to recite longer. Now, because the Prophet ﷺ, on one occasion he recited Surah At-Tur in the Maghrib prayer to completion, and at other times, and on one occasion he recited Surah Al-A'raf. He recited Surah Al-A'raf in the Maghrib prayer. And so he mentions, Sa'di alayhi rahmatullah, he says, وَبَيْنَ ذَلِكَ فِي بَقِيَّةِ الصَّلَوَاتِ, and he recites between these two, meaning between that which is short and between that which is long, in the remaining prayers, meaning Dhuhr, Asr, and Isha, one recites what is between that. Now, ثُمَّ يَرْكَعْ مُكَبِّرًا رَافِعًا يَدَيْهِ حَذْوَ مَنْكَبَيْهِ في ركوعه وفي رفعه منه وفي كل ركعة وعند تكبيرة الإحرام وإذا قام من التشهد الأول. So he says, he says, and then he rises while saying the takbir. He bows while saying the takbir. He bows while saying the takbir. رافعا يديه, raising his hands to the level of his shoulders. He raises the hands to the level of the shoulders. And he does so similarly in his ruku' and his rising from it, and in every rak'ah, and with the opening takbir. وإذا قام من التشهد الأول على الصحيح في صلاة الرباعية والثلاثية. He likewise raises the hands when rising from the first tashahhud, and in the prayers that have 3 rak'ah or 4 rak'ah, he raises his hand likewise. So here we have 4 instances wherein the hands are to be raised in the prayer. There are 4 points or 4 periods where the hands are to be raised in the prayer, and they are mentioned here in the Shaykh's Kalam. The first is with opening takbir. When you begin the prayer, you raise your hands with that takbir. And then the second is when you are bowing, when going into the ruku', you raise your hands when bowing. And likewise, when you are rising from the bowing, it's the third time you're rising from the bowing, every time. And likewise, the 4th time is after the first tashahhud in the salawat ruba'iyah and the salawat thulathiyah, which is only one. The 4 rak'ah prayers and the 3 rak'ah prayer, which is Maghrib. So these are the 4 times when the hands are to be raised. Again, opening takbir, when bowing, when rising from the bowing, while saying Sami Allahu liman hamida, and when standing after the first tashahhud if the prayer has more than 1 tashahhud. And he says in the ruku', Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, مرة واجبة, meaning to say it one time is wajib. You must, wajib, obligatory, say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim in the ruku at least one time, being wajib. وأقل الكمال, and the least amount of perfection, the least amount of completion is 3 times. Alright, so one time is wajib. The least amount to say that you have completed the most complete form is to say it at least 3 times. Now, for akthar or more. وكذلك تسبيح السجود. Similarly, what you say in sujud, it takes the same ruling. That meaning one time is wajib, and 3 times is the least amount to reach or attain completion or more. So when you are in sujud, you say Subhan Rabbi al-A'la. ثم يرفع رأسه قائلا إماما ومنفردا سمع الله لمن حمده. So going back to what we say in ruku, he says that one rises his head while saying, whether you are the imam or you are a lone worshiper praying by yourself, سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا ولك الحمد حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه. This is extra that has come inside the sunnah. وكذلك المأموم, similarly for the one who is following the imam, with the exception of the fact that he does not say سمع الله لمن حمده. This is Sa'di's kalam. However, Sheikh Muhammad Nasruddin al-Albani inside of Sifat Salat al-Nabi, he says that the follower likewise says سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا ولك الحمد. So both the imam and the follower say this. Say سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا ولك الحمد. Sheikh al-Albani, he explains that the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, that when the imam says Sami Allahu liman hamida, you say Rabbana wa lakal hamd, he says that this is not to negate the fact that the follower says both statements. However, it's an indication that the follower's statement comes after the statement of the imam. Right? His statement comes after the statement of the imam. So the imam says both, Sami Allahu liman hamida Rabbana wa lakal hamd, and the follower as well says Sami Allahu liman hamida Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Okay? So, but Sa'di's speech, and this is the viewpoint of the Hanabila, as Sa'di is Hanbali in terms of fiqh, is that the follower only says Rabbana wa lakal hamd. He does not say Sami Allahu liman hamida. Now, he says, Thumma yukabbir wa yasjud, then he says the takbir again and prostrates ala sab' a'dha, upon 7 body parts. He prostrates upon 7 body parts. And the 7 body parts are القدمين, the 2 feet, likewise الركبتين, the 2 knees, that's 4 right there, والكفين, the 2 hands, that's 6, والجبهة, and the forehead and nose, which make up or constitute 1. And your nose should take as much of the ground as your forehead does. I mean, your nose should be upon the ground as well. If you're prostrating and your nose is lifted off of the ground, then you have not attained completion in your prostration. Now, so he says, وَيُكَمِّنُهَا مِنَ الْأَرْضِ, and these body parts are to be placed firmly upon the ground. وَيُجَافِيهَا وَلَا يَبْسُطْ, and one's arms are to be upright, and they are not to be spread like the spreading of the dog, like the dog who puts his forearms and like this on the ground when he goes down. The arm should not be spread like that. ثم يرفع مكبرا, then he rises up again after the prostration, saying takbir. ويجلس مفترشا, and he sits, what's called muftarishan. Muftarishan is described as jalisan ala rajlihi al-yusra. So you're sitting on your buttocks are upon your left foot. You're sitting, your buttocks are upon your left foot, and your right foot is to be propped up with the toes of the right foot facing the Qibla. This sitting position is called iftirashan or muftarishan. The one who does it he is muftarishan. He's muftarish. The position is called iftirash. Iftirash. Now, so he says, وَالصَّلَاةُ جُلُوسُهَا كُلُّهُ iftirash. And every sitting position in the prayer, every instance of sitting in the prayer should be like this, should be with this description. Now, there are some allowances between the 2 prostrations, for example.
The Prophet ﷺ, he prohibited what's called iqa'. Iqa' is like when a person sits and your buttocks are upon your two heels. Your both feet are propped up. Your buttocks are upon your heels. You're sitting like this. The Prophet prohibited that, with the exception of in between the two prostrations. In between the two prostrations, it is permissible to sit upon the two heels. It's iqa', like this. Now, aside from that, the asl is that all of the sittings in the salah should be iftirash. You're sitting in the position that we described previously, on your left foot with your right foot propped up, toes facing the qibla. Now, with the exception of the last tashahhud. The last tashahhud. In the last tashahhud, what is proper and befitting is that the worshipper, he sit mutawarrikan, and at tawarruk, it has three descriptions. A tawarruk, the sitting position that's done in the last rak'ah of the prayers that have more than one tashahhud. Right? It's not done in fajr, not done in sunnahs. But in any prayer that has more than one tashahhud, the last sitting is done tawarrukan, and how it has three descriptions. One, that the left foot is to be protruding out from the right side, and it's going to be under the person's buttocks. So with the left foot sticking out of the right side. And the right foot is going to be propped up, toes facing the qibla. It's one description. Another description is that the left foot is going to be in between the right calf and hamstring. All right, so the left foot is in between the right calf. It's going to be above the calf, and you're going to be sitting on it with your, the back of your thigh. That's the hamstring, right? The back of the thigh. And the right foot is going to be either propped up, the toes facing the qibla. This is one description. So there's two here. Or the right foot can be laying down, pointing to the right. This is the third description. All right. So this sitting position is called a tawarruk. Now, he describes one of them. Yaqa al-ardi, he sits upon the ground, and the buttocks are actually going to be on the ground. Yakhruj rijluhu al-yusra an yaminihi. The left foot, it sticks out from the right side. Now, he says in between the two prostrations, Rabbi ghfirli warhamni wahdini warzuqni wajbirni. Meaning, my Lord, forgive me and have mercy upon me, guide me, provide for me, and erase my sins. Thumma yashruta athaniya, then he sits, or he prostrates rather a second time, the second prostration. And the second prostration is going to be similar to the first prostration. Tamaman, you say what you said in that prostration, and likewise, the hay'ah of it, the description of it is going to be the same. When you're prostrating, though, a point of benefit, something that he did not necessarily mention here, he mentioned the limbs that we prostrate upon, and this is the asl. This prostration, though, the prostration, the hands in sujood are going to be, your fingers are going to be facing towards the qibla. The fingers should be spread slightly apart, and they are going to be at the level of the eyes. And the hands, or the arms rather, should be away from the body. This is easier to do when you're praying by yourself or as an imam than it is to do when you're praying in a row. Okay, but the arms should be away from the body, such that if a small animal wanted to pass under the arm, it could. Right? The feet are to be together. Your feet are to be together, toes facing the qibla as we described previously, and the feet are to be together like this. And again, the forehead and the nose both should be firmly affixed to the ground. This is proper sujood. Now, he says that, وَهَكَذَا يَفْعَلْ فِي كُلِّ رَكْعَةٍ, and he does the same in each rak'ah of the prayer. وَعَلَيْهِ أَنْ يَتْمَئِنَّ فِي كُلِّ رَفْعٍ وَخَفْضٍ وَرُكُوعٍ وَسُجُودٍ وَقِيَامٍ وَقُعُودٍ. And it is upon the person, the worshipper, to be at ease in every position of the prayer, whether he is rising, he is at ease in his rising, he's not moving hastily or quickly. Now, وَخَفْدٍ, if he's going down, he goes down with tranquility. Every bowing, every prostration, every standing, every sitting. ثُمَّ يَتَشَهَّدْ فَيَقُولُ, then he says tashahhud. He says tashahhud, and he says in that tashahhud, التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. هذا التشهد الأول. This is the wording of the first tashahhud. We're going to make a 10b here, but we'll make it later. Sheikh Ubay, he explains a point of benefit regarding that. But he says this is what is to be said. As Sa'di says, this is what is to be said in the first tashahhud. Naam. ثم يقوم إن كانت رباعية أو ثلاثية. And then he stands up if that prayer is a 3 raka'ah or 4 raka'ah prayer. After that, he's going to stand up for the next raka'ah. ويصلي بقيتها بالفاتحة وحدها. And the rest of the prayer, he's going to recite only al-Fatiha. Only al-Fatiha. I mean, he will not recite another surah after that. Al-Albani, as we mentioned last week, Al-Albani says there is evidence for recitation of something in addition to Al-Fatiha, even in the 3rd and 4th rak'ah. All right, and he brings evidence from the narration that the Sahaba would say that we knew the Prophet was reciting alayhi as-salam by way of his beard moving. They would see his beard moving, and that's how I know he was reciting in addition to Al-Fatiha. Naam, as Sa'di says, he just recites Al-Fatiha. When kana fi tashahhud alladhi yalihi as-salam, and if it is the final tashahhud, meaning the tashahhud that the salams follows it, then after what he mentioned concerning at-tahiyyat up to the shahada, after that he says, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad, kama sallaita ala Ibrahim, innaka hamidun majid, wa barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad, kama barakta ala Ibrahim, innaka hamidun majid. And then thereafter he seeks refuge from the 4 things, saying, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhabi jahannam, wa min adhab al-qabr, wa min fitnat al-mahya wal-mamati, wa min fitnat al-masih al-dajjal. Another narration, wa min sharri fitnat al-masih al-dajjal. At any rate, he's seeking refuge from the 4 things. O Allah, indeed I seek refuge with you from the punishment of the hellfire, from the punishment of the grave, from the trials of life and death, and from the fitna of al-masih al-dajjal. Now, Sheikh Ubaid, he says about this portion, أقول هذا الذي ذكره الشيخ من التفريق بين التشهدين هو المشهور عند أكثر أهل العلم. This was what the authors mentioned, from there being a distinction between the first and second tashahhud. Meaning in the first tashahhud, you're going to say just the first part. In the second tashahhud, you say the first part along with what's known as as-salat al-Ibrahimiyya. He says, this is that which is well known according to the majority of the people of knowledge. وَتَحْقِيق, however, what is correct, أَنَّهُ لَا فَرْقَ بَيْنَ التَّشَهُّدَيْنِ, is that there's no difference between these 2 tashahhuds. Meaning with both of them, you're going to say the Salah al-Ibrahimiyya. فَإِنْ التَّشَهُّدُ الْأَوَّلِ يَنْبَغِي أَنْ يَشْتَمِلْ عَلَى الصَّلَاةِ al-Ibrahimiyya. So meaning that with the first tashahhud, it is proper that it include the Abrahamic prayer, which the Sheikh, he has cited one version of it here. And it is now وَهِيَ كَثِيرًا ذِكْرُهَا وَهِيَ كَثِيرًا, meaning and the wordings of the Salah Ibrahimiyya are many. There are many variant wordings of the Salah Ibrahimiyya, which the author mentioned here, that Allahumma salli ala Muhammad to the end of it. There are many different wordings of it. He says that ذكرها Ibn Qayyim, he mentions all of them inside of his book Jala al-Afham, and likewise as Sheikh Nasr al-Albani alayhi rahmatullah, he mentions them as well within Sifa as-Salah. So whoever wants more on this topic, let him return to those books. Now, كما أن التشهد الذي ذكره الشارح هو التشهد ابن مسعود. Likewise, the tashahhud which the author mentions, that also has various wordings. But the author, he mentioned what was known as the Tashahhud of Ibn Mas'ud. The Tashahhud of Ibn Mas'ud, because this is what he was the one who narrated the hadith containing that version of it. And that version of it was the most beloved of them to Imam Ahmad alayhi rahmatullah, as Shaykh al-Islam, he mentions, and this is due to a number of reasons. One of them is that it is the most authentic. It's the most authentic of the hadith that have come with mention of at-tashahhud, and the most famous of them. Likewise, amongst the reasons is that that the wording of it is mahfuz. The wording of it is preserved and intact. And all of the various hadith that mention it, they contain the exact same version, word for word. Not one letter is off. Amongst the reasons why Imam Ahmad loved it as well is that that the wording of it, or its words, they completely correspond and agree with one another. So therefore, this is that which the Prophet ﷺ commanded with in most instances. There are other versions of it, as we mentioned. Sheikh Muhammad Adam Ethiopia, he mentions that this as well is the most authentic version. This is the one that has most right to be said, even more so than the version of that the Sahaba would say after the death of the Prophet ﷺ. They would just change Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi, peace be upon you, O Prophet, to Assalamu ala nabi, peace be upon the Prophet. Sheikh Muhammad Adam, he said that even though from a linguistic standpoint, Assalamu ala nabi, peace be upon the Prophet, is better than Assalamu alayka, peace be upon you, O Prophet. From a linguistic standpoint, the other version is better because the Prophet is no longer with us. But however, the one which the Prophet himself taught to his companions was the one of Ibn Mas'ud, Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi, peace be upon you, O Prophet. So therefore, we continue to say it. At any rate, he says, وَيَدْعُوا بِمَا أَحَبْ. After that tashahhud and the salah al-Ibrahimiyya, he supplicates, he makes dua with whatever he wants. Now, Shaykh al-Albani brings a point of benefit regarding this, that the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned after teaching the Sahaba the salat al-Ibrahimiyya, and then he said that after that, and then you may supplicate with whatever you want. Okay? So based upon this, the time for dua in the salah are two. One, when you're in sujood, based upon the hadith, أقرب ما يكون العبد من ربه وهو ساجد, the closest the servant is to his Lord is when he's prostrating. So therefore, let him make much dua when you're prostrating. So therefore, the sujood is the time to make dua. Likewise, at the end of the salah, after the salah Ibrahimiyya, after you seek refuge from the four things, before you make the taslim, that's the time to make dua. Okay? However, Al-Albani, he mentions in Sifat Salah that based upon what Shaykh Ubay mentioned likewise here, the Salah Ibrahimiyya can be said in both tashahuds. Then in both instances, after you say that tashahhud, then you can make dua for yourself, make dua for whatever you need, right? Whether it's the end of the prayer or it's the second rak'ah of a 4 or 3 rak'ah prayer. Now, he says, but he supplicates after that for whatever he wills. ثُمَّ يُسَلِّمُ, then he makes taslim. وَيَذْكُرَ اللَّهَ بِمَا وَرَدَ, and he makes dhikr of Allah with those forms of dhikr that have come. فجميع الوارد عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في الصلاة من فعله وقوله وتعليمه وإرشاده داخل في قوله صلوا كما رأيتموني صلي. So all of that which has come from the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام regarding the prayer, whether his action that he did, or statements that he made, or things that he taught to others, or directives that he gave, all of that enters into his statement, pray as you have seen me praying. All of that enters into it. And it is something which has been commanded with. And the command denotes obligation, or at the very least it denotes istihbab, something being recommended in accordance with what the context may indicate. فَمَا كَانَ مِنْ أَجْزَائِهَا لَا يَسْقُطْ سَهْوًا وَلَا جَهْلًا وَلَا عَمْدًا قِيلَ لَهُ رُكْنٌ. So all of that from the parts of the prayer which cannot be left off, neither out of forgetfulness, nor out of ignorance, nor intentionally. If it bears that description that you cannot leave this off no matter what, then that is considered to be a rukn, a pillar of the salah. It's considered to be a pillar of the salah. Now, meaning that the pillars of the prayer are those things that you can't just simply make such the sahu and that wipes away the mistake. A pillar of the salah is something like the opening takbir is a pillar, right? The Prophet ﷺ said, Miftah salat tahara wa tahrimuha at-takbir wa tahliluha at-taslim. He said the key to the prayer is purification. It's tahrim. The entry point is the takbir. Right? So you've not entered into the salah unless you made the opening takbir. You're not even praying yet. So this is it draws attention to something which you find many other people doing. They come to the salah late, and they may find the imam in ruku', they may find the imam in sujood, or something like this, or even if they find him standing, and they come and they just join whatever position the imam may be in without making the takbir first. If you join without making the takbir first, you have not entered the prayer. You must make the opening takbir first, and then join him in whatever position he's in. So if he's in ruku', you come, you make the opening takbir, and then you make a takbir for bowing and join him in the bowing position. Unless he's about to get up. If he's about to get up, you suffice yourself with one takbir, that's the opening takbir, and then you join him in that position. Now, so that's a pillar of the prayer. Likewise, Al-Fatiha is the pillar of the prayer. Prophet said, La salata liman lam yaqra bi Fatiha al-kitab. No prayer for the one who has not recited the opening chapter of the book. Likewise, the last tashahhud is a pillar. Likewise, the salams at the end of the prayer is a pillar. And the qiyam, standing in prayer, if one has the ability, that's a pillar. And bowing and prostration, likewise rising from the bowing and the prostration. All of these are arkan as-salah. Alhamdulillah. وَمَنْ كَانَ يَسْقُطْ سَهْوًا وَيُجْبِرُهُ سُجُودَ السَّهْوِ قِيلَ لَهُ وَاجِبٌ. And likewise, those other affairs that can possibly be left off out of forgetfulness, and if one makes the prostration of forgetfulness, it will do away with the error, then those things are called wajib or wajibat as-salah, such as the first tashahhud and sitting for the first tashahhud, and all of the other takbirats with the exception of the opening takbir. His statement with takbirat, ghayra takbirat al-ihram, his statement in which he made, and this is Shaykh Ubay's kalam here. Shaykh Ubay, he says, aside this statement, the other takbirs with the exception of that are other than the opening takbir, these are referred to takbirat and-naql. Takbirat and-naql, or the transitional takbirs, or takbirs of transition. Takbirs you say when you're moving from position to position. Now, وتكبيرات النقل يخطئ فيه كثير من أو يخطئ كثير فيها كثير من الناس. Many of the people err or make mistakes in the takbirat and naql, these transitional takbirs. Amongst them are those who يقدموها على الفعل, they make the takbir before doing the action. With the opening takbir, right, you can say it before, during, or after the rising of the hands. Okay? Before, before, such as Allah, you say Allahu Akbar, then rise the hands, right? Or during, Allahu Akbar, or after, Allahu Akbar, right? It's with the opening takbir. With the other takbirs, though, you should say them along with the movement. You say them along with the movement. And so he says that amongst the people there are those who يقدموها على الفعل تقديما فاحشا. They make the takbir to be a long time before the actual movement itself. So you find him مثلا يقدم وهو واقف Allahu Akbar. So you find him, for example, standing up. He wants to bow or prostrate. He's standing up, he says Allahu Akbar. Then he moves like this, right? He says ثم بعد ذلك يهوي. After that he goes down. هذا في الحقيقة من مسابقة المأموم لإمامه لا سيما الذين لا يرونه. This is something which will lead to the followers preceding the imam, especially if they don't see him, if they can't see his movements. Like the sisters may be in the sister side and can't see the movements of the imam. If he does it like this, he says Allahu Akbar, and then moves later, they're thinking that when he says Allahu Akbar, he's doing what? He's moving already. So they start moving. right? And if he's waiting a while before he moves, they will end up beating him to the position. And this could nullify the people's prayer. And so he says, وَمِنْهُ مَنْ يَجْعَلَهَا فِي نِهَايَةِ الْفِعْلِ. Amongst the people, there are those who make the takbir, they say Allahu Akbar, at the end of the movement. So, for example, he's going down to sujood, and he starts moving. He doesn't say Allahu Akbar until he's already down in sujood. His face already to the ground. Now, down there, he's saying Allahu Akbar. Now, he says that هذا وذاك خطأ. Both of these instances are mistakes. For takbirah musahaba lil-fi'l. So the takbir, it should accompany the movement. It should be at the same time as the movement. Now, due to what has come in the hadith that is reported in the two sahihs on the authority of Abu Hurairah, that he said, yukabbir hina yarka, that he makes the takbir while he's bowing. Yukabbir hina yasjud, he makes the takbir while he's prostrating. And something like this. Now, so therefore it accompanies the action. As-Sa'di says that the statement of the worshipper, Sami Allahu liman hamida lil imam wal munfarid wa qaw rabbana wa lakal hamd li kulli musallin. He says that the statement Sami Allahu liman hamida is for the imam and the lone worshippers, whereas rabbana wa lakal hamd is for everyone who prays, whether you're an imam, a lone worshipper, or you pray along with the imam. And again, we mentioned to you the kalam of Shaykh Al-Albani in this regard. قال سبحان ربي العظيم مرة في الركوع. The statement is to be said at least one time in the ruku', that's what's wajib. سبحان ربي الأعلى, at least one time in the sujood, that is what was wajib. And the statement ربي اغفر لي بين السجدتين is to be said between those two prostrations. وما سوى ذلك فإنه من مكملاتها. And whatever is beyond that is from the mukmilat, from the things that complete the prayer. Meaning if you say it more than once, you say it 3 times or more, as we said previously, that is aqal, that is the least amount of completion, least amount of perfection. So whatever is beyond that, then this is from the mukmilat of salat wa mustahabbatiha, and the things that are recommended. وخصوصا روح الصلاة ولبها وهو حضور القلب فيها. And specifically he says attending the prayer and observing the essence of the prayer itself, and that is having presence of heart. Having presence of heart. Your heart should be present in the prayer. Your heart should not be all over the place thinking about the score to the game, thinking about what's in the oven, thinking about this, that, and the third. Rather, you should be focused in the prayer and contemplating upon what is said in the salah, from recitation and dhikr and dua, and whatever one does from standing and sitting and bowing and prostrating, having khudu' lillah, having humility before Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, with khushu' fiha lillah, and having khushu' and tranquility in the prayer, having tranquility in your salah. ومما يدخل في ذلك, and what enters into that as well, is تجنب ما نهى عنه الرسول عليه الصلاة في الصلاة, is avoiding those things which the Prophet عليه الصلاة prohibited in the prayer, like laughing. Laughing in the salah will invalidate your prayer. All right, crying is permissible in the salah, but laughing is not. Laughing is not. Laughing will invalidate the prayer. With kalam, likewise speech. Speech, meaning speech that has nothing to do with the salah, making that speech in the salah will invalidate the prayer. وَكَثْرَةُ الْحَرَكَاتِ الْمُتَتَابِعَةِ لِغَيْرِ ضُرُورَةٍ. And consecutive movements. Some of the scholars put a number on it. Some of them say 3 consecutive movements that have nothing to do with the salah. Right? Some of them say it's not connected to a number. But those consecutive movements that have nothing to do with the prayer that you find some of the people making. Right? A person may go down and fix their socks. Person may, fix their watch or fix their clothes and things like this. Doing movements that have nothing to do with the prayer will invalidate the prayer. Walking. The guideline, the dhabit, which the scholars have mentioned, that if somebody can look at you and believe that you're not praying, they believe that you're doing something other than salat when they look at you, then this will invalidate the prayer. So if I look at you and I say, okay, maybe he's praying, but he probably just checking his time. He's checking the time. Or he's maybe just, fixing his socks, getting ready to join the prayer, or fixing his clothes, or something like that, and you're actually supposed to be praying, then this would invalidate the salah. Now, some people walk, right? If it's an excessive amount of steps, something that's excusable, for example, is if you're in a row, a person leaves the prayer in the row in front of you, you step up to fill that row. Okay, that's excusable, right? But if the prayer is over with, right? The prayer is over with, Imam makes taslim, you're a latecomer, you get up and walk to another spot, and you think you're going to finish your prayer is invalid. Your prayer is invalid. It's too many movements. Now, he says that فإن الصلاة لا تتم إلا بوجود شروطها وأركانها وواجباتها. For the prayer is not complete except with the existence of the conditions for prayer, and the conditions of prayer are 9 in number. Arkaniha, likewise the arkan, the pillars of prayer, which are 14 in number, and the wajibat, which are 8 in number. وانتفاء مبطلاتها, and likewise the removal of those things that invalidate the prayer, which go back to either one of two things. Either the things that would invalidate the prayer is either ikhla bilazimin, a person leaves off something which should be there, or fil mamnu' fiha, or he does something that should not be done. You leave something that should be done, or you do something which should not be done. Kal kalam wa nahwi, like speech or other than it. Hona Sheikh Ubaidi says in conclusion, here it is a must that we make a restriction to that which contains no maslaha for the salah, meaning that those things that are prohibited, speech, movement, and the likes of that, if it has a maslaha, something to do with the prayer itself, a benefit for the prayer itself, then you can speak with it, right? An example of speech that may have a benefit, like the Sheikh, he's going to mention some examples, but another example is iftah al-imam, they may helping the imam out, right? The imam may forget an ayah or something like that. He may forget a verse while he's reciting, and a follower, he can speak and say that verse, right, to help him out with that verse. Or if it may be that the imam, he forgets a movement in the prayer. You say subhanallah to alert him to the movement, he still don't know what he did. He has no clue what he did. You're saying subhanallah, trying to make him get it. He doesn't know what he did. You can verbalize it, verbally tell him. You left the ruku', you left sujood, or something like this. You can verbalize it and tell him, and that would not harm the validity of the prayer. Why? Because this speech here has something to do with the salah. It's relevant to the prayer. Okay? But just speech that has nothing to do with the prayer, leave me alone, back away from me. Things like, stuff you may hear from some kids in the salah, then it's a speech that would invalidate the prayer. Laughing, like we said, will invalidate the salah as well. Now, he says, هذا في الحركة وفي الكلام. So when he says that which has no benefit for the prayer itself, this is as it relates to movements and statements. أو أمر دعت إليه ضرورة. Or there may be an affair which necessity calls for. كالذي يرى طفلا. So like for example, a person may see a child and he fears that child is about to fall into something of destruction. There's a kid that's walking around nearby. Maybe you're in the house praying. One of your small children is about to stick a fork in a socket or something like that, and you can see it at the corner of your eye that he's about to do that. You don't say, "Well, I'm praying. I can't help him out. Shouldn't have did it." Right? Rather, you go help the baby. Right? Help your child, and you grab him and you move him. He mentions by way of example, a person about to fall into a fire or something like this. So you can grab that child and prevent them. Or you see a blind man, he's walking, and in his pathway in front of him, there may be a large hole that he's about to fall into. So you can say to that man, Qif, stop, there's a hole right there. You can tell him, stop, there's a hole, or whatever the case may be. And this is something which necessity may call for. If necessity does not call for it, then you should not do it. You should not say it in the salah. Now, we stop there as that completes the explanation of the hadith. We pick up from the 26th hadith the next sitting.
الله تعالى أعلم. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.